Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Hobart begins now.
Good evening. A coroner has found the death of a Tasmanian paramedic who overdosed on stolen drugs was a preventable tragedy. Ambulance Tasmania now has a long road ahead to fix what the coroner describes as systemic and cultural issues after failing to appropriately train staff and respond to multiple internal thefts.
An inquest over, but a community still reeling from the loss of intensive care paramedic Damien Michael Crump.
It's important to first acknowledge the incredible tragedy of Damien's death and the very significant impact it's had on our people and his family, and for me to convey my heartfelt condolences to them on behalf of the organisation.
Mr Crump took his own life in 2016 after deliberately ingesting fatal quantities of drugs he had stolen from his employer Ambulance Tasmania. Coroner Olivia McTaggart today handing down her findings into the 36-year-old's death. The court heard Mr Crump was a devoted and passionate worker, but suffered long-standing mental illness, was dishonest about his medical treatment and intended to end his life before reaching 40. The coroner says Ambulance Tasmania had a culture of tolerating unacceptable behaviour and that appropriate intervention may have uncovered Mr Crump's addiction and drug thefts before it was too late. Improving drug policies now at the core of 13 recommendations made for Ambulance Tasmania. Among them, random drug and alcohol testing, regular reviews into the management, storage and handling of drugs, and training for all staff in regards to those systems, as well as mandatory psychological assessments and training for managers and staff to respond to mental health issues. Coroner McTaggart noted that Ambulance Tasmania has taken commendable steps to improve its culture in the years since Mr Crump's death, but that change must be continued to overcome systemic issues within the agency.
We've made very significant changes as a result of Damien's death and the learnings from his death, and we'll continue to make those changes to ensure our organisation is safe in the years ahead.
Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
And if this story has caused distress, you can contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. The Treasurer has revealed he and his office had no formal involvement into the AFL deal and stadium agreement. Fronting a parliamentary inquiry into the bill today, Michael Ferguson said while they were kept across the contract, they weren't approached for advice, nor was it needed.
I trust the Premier to be able to negotiate a deal in good faith. We work together. There's a lot of trust.
This is a deal which will cost Tasmanian taxpayers probably over $1 billion, and yet there's no Treasury advice and it didn't go to Cabinet.
The Treasurer says the deal is a good one for Tasmania, lauding the potential economic benefit. The government has been called on to reveal more information about state servants being investigated around child sexual abuse allegations. Whistleblowers, advocates and victim survivors have written to Minister Roger Yench asking for their agencies to be regularly disclosed along with the number.
Abuse thrives in secrecy, so the less information that people have, the less power they have to make informed decisions.
It's important as well that we're ensuring natural justice for people.
Since October 2020, 48 state servants have been suspended from duty with 5 sanctions handed out. 10 years on from the Dunalley bushfires, an Australian-first emergency radio network is now operational here in the state. Authorities say TasGRN has the potential to save lives in a crisis while streamlining communication between different services.
Branded as one of the most advanced emergency radio networks in Australia, if not the world, TasGRN is live.
It'll help the agency save people's lives and properties when emergencies inevitably occur.
It will allow all emergency response agencies like fire, police, ambulance, SES and more communicate seamlessly. Currently, they're all using different networks.
When you have large-scale events across the state where you have multiple incident control centres, multiple crews on the ground if you need to do red flag warnings to warn crews that the fire weather is changing.
It's a major recommendation of the Dunalley bushfires inquiry. Communication between agencies was hampered, posing a risk to community safety. 10 years later, it's finally operational.
It's been a long time coming, but it's been a really big build, and it's important to make sure that we get it absolutely spot on.
There are benefits for other operations too, with increased data capabilities and a higher level of encryption.
Being secure, being encrypted, that others in the community who would source our communications for their own purposes that are improper and illegal will now not be able to do that.
These are not your granddad's radios. They've got GPS tracking, they've got duress alarms.
8 agencies will join the platform over the coming months. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Incat is changing the face of shipbuilding, constructing the world's largest lightweight battery electric vessel for South American customer Buquebus. Federal Ministers Jenny McAllister and Carol Brown were on ground to learn more about the Incat Hull 096, which will have 4 times the energy storage than any battery installation. Incat now finalising the contract for a second, smaller zero-emissions ferry. The state's doctors have agreed to a new pay deal averting strike action. AMA negotiator Michael Lumsden-Steele expressed relief at members voting to accept the offer, saying it repositions the state to recruit and retain more doctors. The Premier says it demonstrates doctors share the government's vision to reform the state's health system. La Trobe's sweetest treats will be on show next month as Chocolate Winterfest returns. Local makers are feverishly preparing their offerings with new flavours and fan favourites set to feature.
It's one of the sweetest days on the calendar, and La Trobe lolly shop owner Narisha has a special something up her sleeve.
The freeze-dried fantails is one of our most favourite treats.
After they were discontinued last month, Chocolate Winterfest might be your last chance to try the high-tech take on a cult classic.
It melts in your mouth, it's crumbly, it's crispy, and yeah, it's delicious.
Now almost 20 years old, the festival is a welcome winter warmer for the region and an opportunity for local confectioners to share tricks of the trade.
I don't see competition, I see collaboration. I think there's a real big opportunity to call La Trobe sweet heaven or whatever.
It's not just professionals getting in on the action. The festival's famous cake decoration competition has proved so popular, it's added more categories.
Can you tell us how you'd rate your cake making skills? Like a 6, probably.
Each group is being given a different chocolate challenge. Even our youngest confectioners can get in on the fun.
In the lead up to the event, primary school students will be making little sheep out of cupcakes. Let's see how we do.
With 40 events across 31 venues in a single day, it's a winning combination.
Typically we see the main street of La Trobe flooded with people, both sides of the road, 6 deep, walking along the road.
Chocolate Winterfest kicks off on Sunday, August 13. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
The Cancer Council is gearing up for one of its major fundraisers, launching the 2023 Women's 5K Walk Run. A sea of pink will take over the streets of Launceston on September 10, bringing the community together in a celebration of life and remembrance.
This year we'd love to raise over $150,000. Of course, all the money stays in Tasmania, which I think is another reason why people like coming to our event.
My daughter had stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2021 and the Cancer Council were absolutely fabulous to our family. It's wonderful to see so many women and so many pink come together to fundraise for such a wonderful organisation.
Participants of all ages and abilities are encouraged to don a pink t-shirt on the day. Jet ski riders have twisted the throttle for a water-based wishing well, raising vital funds for Tasmanian charity Archies 100. The group handed over a cheque for $21,000 after more than 100 people rode 100 kilometres around Maria Island in February.
We're delighted that we could take all of those people for a ride and show them that you can ride offshore, out of the way of other people. You can do it with lots of fun and you can do it in a safe environment.
The donation will support the Royal Hobart Hospital's Children's Ward neonatal unit in honour of Archie Green, who died in a boating accident 3 years ago. Year 11 and 12 students have taken part in a series of masterclasses offering an early taste of university in Launceston. Pupils from across the north and northwest spending the day at UTAS learning about life on campus.
We are really about breaking down barriers to university. The school's recommendation program is a way for Year 12 students to apply and receive an early offer.
Definitely takes the stress off Year 12 students, and you can sort of have a sense of confidence going into university prior to commencing.
Today's session's opening the door to post-school pathways, hoping to make the transition to university that little bit smoother. Meanwhile, Hobart's rental growth might be slowing down, according to new data released by PropTrack. Rent prices rose just under 2% in the June quarter to sit at $530 a week. Outside the capital, the median price is now $450 a week, almost 10% more than last year.
To basketball, Hobart Chargers coach Anthony Stewart says his shooting star Sam McDaniel is in some of his best form since joining the team. While Keely Frolling's back from Opal's duties, but will only be a spectator for the Tawns. Lauded for top scores and best on-court showings,
to Frolling for the finishing touches.
Keely Frolling's finishing touch was Asia Cup bronze and qualifying for the Paris Olympics, but an aggravated ankle injury is unwelcome baggage.
It's 8 games in like 10 days and obviously really tough physical games, so it takes a lot on the body.
It means she's out of this weekend's games. Rivals take note though, the Tawns still won back-to-back without her in the last round.
Really cool to see, at the end of the season that we're still fighting.
We were out-rebounded by 20, I think, in both games, and we still managed to win.
The Hobart Chargers didn't just manage to win, they obliterated their rivals last weekend.
Probably had one of the best weekends we've had for a long, long time.
Adding to the pulse, Devon Watson and jack jumper Sam McDaniel, who combined for 65 points against 4th place Sandringham.
It was fun to watch, and it probably makes you think you put out Ollie Angerstein in there and you're really looking at probably another opportunity for a championship, even with a young group.
A championship is now out of reach for the women's side this year, but they've gone from 1 win to 4 to at least 7 over the past 3 seasons.
I think the exciting part is if the club can keep this group together. I think there's a challenger there.
And the Northwest Thunder will blood its young players during its final game in Ulverston this season on Friday night.
A couple of local kids, Kobe Jackson and Eli French, will get a good opportunity this weekend, so look forward to seeing those guys putting their hands up and seeing how they go against the big men.
The only out, Venky Joyce with an injured ankle.
Today, Hobart and Devonport 12 degrees, Launceston 11 and Burnie 13. King Island, the state's top with 15, Friendly Beaches 14, 13 for Flinders Island, Wynyard and Strawn, Maria Island and Low Head 12, 10 for Grove, 8 for Bushy Park and 7 for Lyweenie. That thick mid-cloud did continue today and was consistent across the state. A continuing cold air mass is producing scattered low to mid-level cloud over southern WA, and the rest of the nation is mostly cloud-free. Tomorrow, a high approaches central Western Australia. A strong cold front is situated over South Australia and a low sits over southwest of the state. To coastal waters, north to northwesterly winds 5 to 10 knots about southeast and lower east in the morning, 10 to 20 knots elsewhere. Winds increasing to 20 to 30 knots about the west during the morning and afternoon. The west and south can expect westerly swells up to 3 metres. A marine wind warning has been issued for strong winds in the far northwest coast and the central west coast. Tomorrow, those partly cloudy conditions continue in Hobart and Cygnet with 14 degrees, 13 for New Norfolk. To the north, Launceston and Devonport expecting showers, cloudy and 12 for Campbelltown. Showers forecast for the west, Burnie 13, 15 in Strawn and 14 for Smithton. St Helens and Swansea partly cloudy and 15, also cloudy and 13 in Fingal. And to the 3-day forecast, Friday showers mostly about the north and west with little expected about the lower east coast. Possible thunderstorms about the west and those northerly winds shifting west to northwesterly. Saturday showers easing in the east in the evening. Possible thunderstorms about the west, snow falling also to 900 metres. Sunday showers about the west, south and Bass Strait Islands, mainly fine elsewhere. Snow falling to 800 metres with small hail expected about the west and far south. Taking a look at the mainland tomorrow, Broome sunny 27, Darwin mostly sunny 12 and frosty conditions in Canberra and 18 in Sydney. And those cloudy conditions continue across the state, Hobart, Launceston and Devonport. Also 11 degrees there. That's all from me tonight, Louise. Have a lovely evening.
And that's all your news for now. I'll see you again later with updates. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good night.